Ladies and gentlemen, this next segment of the podcast is brought to you by the Heritage Foundation. For over 50 years, the Great Heritage Foundation has been America's outpost in Washington, fighting against the D.C. federal bureaucracy and working to secure a future that allows Americans to live the good life. For too long, common sense principles have been ignored by many of the very leaders claiming to fight for America. But the Heritage Foundation is proud to hold our leaders accountable and stand up for America's founding principles. Paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. You wonderful patriotic Americans out there, red-blooded Americans. Some people seem to think you don't know the difference between good and evil, democracies and terrorist regimes. Team America roots for Team Israel. Team America is providing certain types of information to Team Israel. President of the United States, Donald Trump, is a historic and iconic figure, absolute genius in so many respects, and here he is, national security and foreign policy. He was never an isolationist, never. He was never an appeaser, and yet we have isolationists and appeasers among us who are attacking the President of the United States tonight as I speak. Chatsworth Osborne Jr. among them, others too, some of whom I consider friends, some quasi-friends, because they're confused, they're muddled, and they're trying to build some kind of ideology and say, Trump transformed the Republican Party. Yes, he did, but America's America, and Americans have a long history, and neither Trump nor the people who voted for him are isolationists that would give into a terrorist regime that, number one, tries to assassinate our president, and number two, keeps talking about death to America. Oh, yeah, and there's the other thing. We do believe in our alliances and defending our allies, and we expect them to defend us when we need them. It's not that complicated. Now, some of these people who come up with their own brand new foreign policy don't realize there's nothing new about it. It's a stupid foreign policy. It is a pacifist foreign policy. It is a unilateral disarmament foreign policy. One of my friends says, look, I support Israel, but I don't really support them attacking Iran. Then you don't support Israel. Now, how do I know that? Imagine if these ballistic missiles, or any set of them, had nuclear warheads. The Iron Dome can't stop all of them. So imagine these ballistic missiles, which take 11 minutes to hit Israel once they're launched, they go up to almost at space, and then they fall down to Earth. They're very, very difficult to knock out of the sky. Thank you, Ronald Reagan. But for him, we wouldn't even have this type of technology. But you get the point. And so I want you to think about this a second. I laid this out on the internet the other day, and I don't live on the internet. These guys live on the internet. It's unbelievable, Mr. Producer. It's look at me. I've got 14 hits. Who cares? But I want you to think about this for a second. Let's play along. Let's say Israel didn't do what it did today. And Donald Trump, try as he might, couldn't get a deal with the Islamo-Nazi Iranian terrorist regime to surrender its enrichment. So according to Chatsworth Osborne Jr. and a couple of my friends, who I shall keep nameless for the protection of their own character, quite frankly, well, that's that. What do you mean that's that? Israel's provoking war. They attacked Iran. So Israel's supposed to wait for Iran to actually have nuclear warheads, put them on their ballistic missiles, and then what? And by the way, then what for us? I want to see a full plan. I want to see a full blueprint from these isolationists, from these imbeciles. I want to see their substantive blueprint. Forget about all the rest of it. Their substantive blueprint. Don't talk about forever wars and the neocons and what. No. Put away your third grade vocabulary books and let's see your blueprint. What would you do about Iran? First, they said Iran is not producing nuclear missiles, and they cite who? Gabby, Tulsi Gabbard. Well, she's either a fool or a liar or an ignoramus. That's three, I guess. One of the three, because everyone else knows that, including the President of the United States, that that's not true. That's not true. And she's the Director of National Intelligence, for God's sakes. Even the UN, the IAEA, put out, the first time in 20 years, a sanction that was voted on by all the members, I believe, against Iran for building and getting close to having nuclear weapons. But somehow, the Director of National Intelligence misses it. She doesn't miss it. She's an ideologue. She's literally blaming the great men who defeated Imperial Japan for what happened at Hiroshima. It's sick. But she's not alone. There's a lot of sickos out there, in government and out of government. This is the new way. This is how we young men want to run foreign policy. We've had too many forever wars. They have like 7 lines and that's it. Maybe we have had too many forever wars. What does it have to do with what's going on in Israel? What does it have to do with World War II, which wasn't a forever war? It lasted about 4.5 years. Do they even know what the hell they're talking about? Oh, yes. And you hawks, you Reaganites, excuse me, we defeated the Soviet Union. Who the hell have you defeated? Nobody. You got your head so far up Putin's ass, it's not even funny. As well as anybody with a robe in the Middle East, apparently. So they're very angry tonight. The fifth column, the enemy within. They're very angry tonight. They're very worried about what might happen to the Iranian regime that slaughters its people, that rapes its people, that tortures its people, that has killed Americans, both men and women in uniform and American citizens. They're very worried about that regime. Whatever the United States does, don't help Israel. They're on their own. They're provocatives. They sound like Bernie Sanders, Tlaib, AOC, Tim Kaine, that moron Chris Murphy. They sound like the radical Marxist Islamist Democrats because that's what they are. They're trying to hijack, make America great again, which was started by Reagan and has been embraced by Trump. Peace through strength. You can't have peace through appeasement, but they're worse than appeasement. They're giving aid and comfort to the enemy. Aid and comfort to the enemy. Now notice who's targeting population centers. Iran. Brian Masters made the point all day long. Imagine these ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads, because that is exactly what would happen. Would we put up with that? Say if some country in Central America was doing this? Of course not. So it's a lie. Of course they've been developing these things. So they lied to us. We're only seeing one side of this battle, by the way, because obviously Iran is a terrorist police state. They don't have television cameras there, and certainly not from our fantastic media. So we don't see what the Israelis are doing there. But what we hear on the record from the United States and from Israel is they're pounding the crap out of their military sites, nuclear sites, and now their infrastructure. Because Netanyahu said, you target our cities, we're going to take out your infrastructure. And Donald Trump, guy's a genius. And so they're attacking Donald Trump tonight. You see, because he's turned his back on MAGA. He is MAGA, you morons. It's his movement. Isolationism, appeasement, pacifism, Bernie Sanderism, supporting the enemy. That's you. That's not us. That's not MAGA. MAGA's patriotic, man. Red-blooded Americans. That's you. And there's nothing new about giving aid and comfort to the enemy, which is what they're doing. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Americans sent President Trump back to Washington with a mandate to solve the border crisis, reverse the effects of Biden's inflation, and restore American greatness. But at every turn, judges are blocking President Trump's attempts to fulfill this mandate. The Heritage Foundation has been closely assessing the situation. They've been able to identify legal problems with these judges' actions and the solutions that will end this potential crisis. To see the results for yourself, go to heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/LEVIN. There you'll get exclusive access to the Heritage Foundation's guide to solving the problem of judges limiting President Trump's moves. Stopping these judges could be the only way to protect Americans and take back our country. So go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/LEVIN. Get your copy today. That's heritage.org/LEVIN, paid for by the Heritage Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to inform the Director of National Intelligence and her favorite leaker, Chatsworth Carlson Jr. Let's see here. Just bear with me. The Natanz nuclear facility is leaking nuclear radiation right now. That would seem to be a giveaway, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? I want to invite a dear friend on the program here, Ben Shapiro. Ben, how are you, brother?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great. Now, I'm hearing a lot of mealy mouth from the fringes. I'm hearing a lot of opposition from the fringes saying the U.S. should not get involved in this war that Israel's in. And I'm thinking to myself, does that mean no intelligence? Does that mean they shouldn't help even in a defensive way? Does that mean just close their eyes to everything that's taking place here? I mean, I'm wondering. And then they claim to be MAGA. And then they claim that the president has turned his back on MAGA. Would you address that, please?
Sure. I mean, I wonder what their definition of MAGA is, considering that the president of the United States has been absolutely 100% consistent on this issue since before he took office the first time. He always said that Barack Obama's JCPOA was the worst deal ever signed in all of human history. He always said that the Iranians could not have nuclear weapons. He's been a determined foe of the Iranian revolutionary regime since the moment he took office, restoring the maximum pressure campaign, ditching the JCPOA, killing Qasem Soleimani, standing shoulder by shoulder with Israel, and also, by the way, by Saudi Arabia, who also is threatened by the Iranians. And yet somehow it is not MAGA for the United States to stand with Israel when Israel moves to take out the Iranian nuclear regime and then to help prevent missiles from falling into civilian populated centers in Israel. By what measure would that be MAGA? That doesn't seem MAGA to me. That sounds like a horseshoe theory, Howard Zinn, Noam Chomsky leftism masquerading as right-wing isolationism.
And isn't it very self-righteous of this little cabal to claim that they are MAGA, they represent MAGA? I think if I went out and talked to, say, 10 people of the 77 million and asked them who some of these self-righteous, self-appointed MAGA leaders are, they wouldn't have the foggiest idea who I'm talking about, would they?
I think that's certainly true. And not only that, we actually do have poll results with regard to the conflict between Israel and Iran, showing that a majority of Americans back the Israeli airstrikes on Iran. That's been true for a long time. Republicans, by a wide margin, actually, agree with the Israeli airstrikes on Iran. And so this bizarre notion that Israel is somehow the aggressor, or that the only way to come to a peaceful conclusion here was going to be through a JCPOA 2.0, but worse, or through more concessions brokered by Qatar, which is essentially a stand-in for the Iranian regime. I'm not sure under what sense that could be considered MAGA. And again, the President of the United States built MAGA, right? It's his movement. And the idea that that movement can simply be hijacked by anybody else from the outside, claiming to speak in the name of MAGA, while again, the vast majority of the president's voters are absolutely unified on this issue. And that's true for congressional leaders who are MAGA. It's true for senatorial leaders who are MAGA. It's true for the President of the United States himself. I mean, has the president been unclear? What exactly is the hang-up here? Are people having hearing trouble? The president has been saying this stuff repeatedly and consistently for a full decade. This is one of the there are a few positions President Trump has been absolutely consistent on. Closing the southern border would be one, deregulation would be another, and a third would be his hatred for the JCPOA and his belief that the Iranians cannot have a nuclear weapon.
And doesn't this demonstrate how right he is, the fact that Iran is firing all these ballistic missiles at population centers in Israel? And as our friend Representative Brian Mast has been saying all day, just imagine warheads on these missiles or even some of these missiles. I mean, doesn't this prove that Trump is right as opposed to they're not MAGA. They're MAGAs, to be perfectly honest with you. But nonetheless, doesn't that prove them all wrong?
I mean, it certainly does. Again, one of the big hangups of the JCPOA, one of the problems was that the JCPOA didn't just free up billions of dollars for Iran to use for whatever it chose. It also allowed them to build up their ballistic missile stockpile, which they are currently activating against Israel. That was one of President Trump's chief criticism of the JCPOA. And the fact that Iran has now launched hundreds of missiles against Israel. They apparently have 2,000 ballistic missiles in store. They also have cruise missiles and drones. That stockpile, combined with an ideology that says Israel should be extirpated. And, by the way, attacks on Saudi Arabia are legitimate. Remember, it was just a couple of years ago the Iranians were attacking Saudi oil fields. And the most destabilizing force in the region by far is Iran. It has been for decades. Iran has never been weaker thanks to Israel essentially taking out all of its terror proxies. But as you say, if Iran had nuclear weapons, what we are watching right now would be 100 times as terrifying.
Mm-hmm. And that's to America. And they say it's not just a slogan, it's a policy. I mean, how blind do you have to be to a terrorist regime that wants to blow out the United States, our ally Israel, the West, especially those of us who have a little bit of a memory about 9/11 and so forth? Don't you think this is perverse?
I mean, it's perverse on the security front. Number one, Iran actually does spread terror all over the world, not just the region. I mean, Iran has its terror tentacles in the United States. It has it in South America. They have it in Europe as well. But I think one of the things that's worthwhile noting about America's geopolitical situation is that if you think that it doesn't matter to the United States what happens in the Middle East, look at the oil spike that happened today. Now imagine that Iran were nuclear and we're holding up oil supply from the Middle East, threatening Israel, threatening Saudi Arabia. Do you think that would have no impact on how Americans live? You think that Iran, with ICBMs, with the capacity to reach Europe, let alone the United States, wouldn't shape and reshape the global geopolitics of energy resources and trade? I mean, think how much trouble the Houthis have made just by firing some rockets, essentially, at shipping in the Red Sea, increasing prices. The reality is that the world is interconnected. The economy is interconnected. Security is interconnected. And this bizarre notion that you can give the world's worst regime the world's worst weapons and somehow that will have no impact on the United States is perversely ignorant.
All right, Ben, we're going to ask Ben to stay with us after the bottom of the hour. There's a lot of weird things going on here, but let's dig into this a little bit further. We'll be right back. Folks, are you concerned about the growing number of judges blocking President Trump's executive orders? Well, if you're not, you should be. Every time a nationwide injunction is handed down by one of these judges, it's the American people who lose. Now, the Heritage Foundation has the policy solutions to stop these threats to our judicial system. Go to heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/Levin. Get your free copy of the How to Stop Activist Judges ebook. Now, this resource breaks down what these activist judges are doing wrong, why it matters, and how, under the Constitution, they can be stopped. It's not just President Trump's agenda that's at stake. It's the safety of Americans and the future of our nation. So go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Get your free ebook today. That's heritage.org/Levin, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call him now, 877-381-3811.
We're here with our friend Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, President Trump gave the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran, 412 opportunities to surrender their nukes, while the reprobates, the false MAGA, were saying they didn't have a nuke program, but they wouldn't surrender it. And the Israelis have been itching to take care of business because they're in the neighborhood and they know this regime better than anybody else. Donald Trump is a transformative foreign policy president, isn't he?
100%. President Trump threw out the playbook on the Middle East when he took office the first time, and everybody in the foreign policy establishment and in the sort of horseshoe theory right and left absolutely freaked out. So President Trump said, listen, I can move the American embassy to Jerusalem, and it will not result in a regional conflagration. And everybody said that he was wrong and that it would light a fire in the Middle East, and he was right. They were all wrong. And then he said, listen, I don't need to make the Palestinian issue first and foremost on the agenda when it comes to negotiating an agreement between Israel and its Arab neighbors. And everybody said, that's crazy. John Kerry said, that will never happen. That will never happen. And President Trump did that, and he was right again. And he negotiated the absolutely transformative Abraham Accords with the UAE and Bahrain and Morocco and a bevy of other countries. And President Trump killed Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian terror master. And he was told by people like Tucker Carlson that it was going to lead to a widespread regional war, possibly World War III. And, of course, none of that happened either. He killed the JCPOA and reestablished maximum containment and maximum deterrence on Iran and essentially destroyed their economy. And that did not result in a stronger Iran. It resulted in a weaker Iran. Then Joe Biden came in, and he undid everything President Trump did, being the worst president in American history. And he led to October 7th by essentially creating daylight between the United States and its allies like Israel and Saudi Arabia, trying to revive the JCPOA. So Trump comes back in. And guess what? He's the same guy he was the first time. He says all of this foreign policy nonsense that suggests that Iran has to be sort of given a slow path toward a nuclear weapon. Maybe they'll moderate. Maybe we'll do a JCPOA. He said, no, nonsense. They're going to come to the table, and they're going to give us precisely what we want, or there's hell to pay. And he said, I'm going to give them 60 days to do it. And on day 61, as President Trump said in his Truth Social, on day 61, Israel struck. And he said, listen, that is their right. That is their duty to protect their citizens. America is sovereign. Israel is sovereign. And he said, yeah, I knew about it. He's not making any bones about the fact that he had prior knowledge of what was going on. And the fact is that because President Trump understands the nature of power better than any president of my lifetime, bar none, he understands particularly the way the Middle East works, which is that the strong horse is the winner. Because President Trump understands that there is nothing that substitutes for victory in the Middle East, in business, in any realm of life. President Trump is a success-oriented president. Because of that, he understands what has to be done in the Middle East, and he's paving the way for a brand new Middle East. If the Iranian regime were to either fall or their nuclear program were to be completely destroyed, as Israel seems to be doing right now, and it seems like contemporaneously as we talk, Israel's going after energy assets in Iran as well. Were that to happen, you're talking about a brand new Middle East in which peace will actually bloom in precisely the way that only President Trump said that it would. And everyone laughed at him. And he was right and they were wrong.
And if this does occur, you're right, it'll be complete transformation of that part of the world for the better. We'll get to hear from some of the actual Iranian people about what they think about the regime. A lot of people talk about them as if they're just part of this government, and if they just come to the table, this regime, and then the people of Iran could live in freedom and prosperity. No, they can't. They can't, can they? Not under this regime.
No, I mean, there's nobody that hates their regime more than the Iranian people hate the Iranian regime. This is something that Prime Minister Netanyahu knows very well. In fact, he put out a full statement going after the Iranian regime on behalf of the Iranian people, saying the Persian people should rise up and they should take their historic birthright and they should take back their country, because he understands that the Iranian people do not agree with this terroristic regime that shoots its own people. I mean, there have been millions of protesters in the streets since 2009 when Barack Obama basically let them out there to dry. And they want this regime gone. There's a reason that the internet is down in Iran right now. Israel did not take down the internet in Iran. Iran took down the internet in Iran. They're afraid that people in Iran are going to start blasting out targets for the Israelis to hit. They're afraid that the Iranians are going to use the internet to coordinate, to recognize the fragility of the regime and coordinate and maybe attempt to overthrow the regime. And that's coming from within. Again, zero people. Mark, it's amazing. All the people who've been attacking you, saying, oh, you're calling for a full-scale ground invasion of Iran. You have never called for that once. I've never called for that once. The Iranian people are perfectly capable of doing this, and they should.
Carlson came out and posted something. The guy's like a lunatic. He posts things that I don't even say, or people leak to him. They undermine the president and his confidence in them. I know who it is, by the way. And that I advised the president that the United States military should bomb Iran. No, I didn't. I never advised the president the United States military should bomb Iran. So they put this stuff out. I'm not going to get into details, but let me put it to you this way. The president of the United States knows exactly where I stand. And, Ben, millions of people know exactly where I stand. I state it behind the microphone. I state it on TV and so forth and so on. If he wants to know where I stand, he just watches the TV show, which he does, which I'm very appreciative of. But on the other hand, the idea that I said the United States should bomb Iran, well, maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't, depending on what's prudent, depending on what he decides and our military decide. But I never advised him that. So they put this stuff out because they don't want to argue the merits, do they? They don't want to argue the substance. They don't. I have said, why don't these isolationists put out their plan for foreign policy? Because they have no plan for foreign policy, because you're an isolationist. The plan is not to really engage in, oh, we can do diplomacy. I didn't ask that. What is your plan? In other words, there are evil regimes. You can talk to them all you want. What would you do with an evil regime? What would you do with Iran? That won't right. Make a deal. What are you going to do with them?
Right. They never actually explain what they would like to do. They just assume a universe that doesn't exist. And there's something else, Mark, that you're saying here that's really true. The attempt to openly manipulate the president of the United States by these folks is really kind of sick. I mean, you say what you want to say about the president's policies every day. I say what I want to say about the president's policies every day on my show. You want to know what I think about the president's policies? All you have to do is tune in or follow my Twitter feed or whatever. But I'm not attempting to the president of the United States is not manipulable. The president of the United States has his own mind, and he makes up his own mind. He is not going to simply be twisted and turned by leakers in the White House or people to whom they leak. That is not the way this works. And this bizarre attempt to twist and turn and suggest that it must be you or Sean Hannity or various other people who have talked to the president who are somehow cudgeling the president into taking a position. That is not the way. What a really pathetic view of President Trump that is. I mean, is that really what some of these people think of President Trump, that he's that easily manipulated, that he's that easy to twist and turn inside out? I mean, if they really think that, it says more about them than it does about the president or about you.
And it does. It says a lot about them because they show him no respect. And some of these people used to trash him pretty bitterly. You know, Republican primaries are difficult things. They get very down and dirty. The candidates get down and dirty. The supporters get down and dirty. That's fine. And then it's over. It's over. We come together. We try and elect somebody who's better than one of the crazy-ass Democrats. And then they pull that stuff out and they'll say, look what Ben Shapiro said. But then you have those who, even after he's nominated and so forth and so on, it's not a matter of disagreeing with policy. It's a matter of personally attacking him. And we're seeing that right now. That he's turned on MAGA. So if you support the United States and Israel and you support our foreign policy, you support our troops, he's turned on MAGA. And so I'm spending a lot of time on this now, Ben, because I think it's time that we clean all this up and clear all this up so we can win future elections and get real policy decisions that make sense, rather than these really bizarre extremist frauds who come up with their own asinine ideas. Last word.
You know, the straw men that are being set up and burned at fever pitch by so many of these isolationists, all in an attempt to try and manipulate the president into believing the things that they believe or saying the things that they want, with leaks and methodologies that would never be tolerated and shouldn't be tolerated by the White House. It really is a massive problem. If people want to have an open and honest discussion about this stuff, that discussion is perfectly available to them. But the amount of lies that are being told about positions and the amount of demonization of people who disagree, but who happen to agree with the president of the United States, is truly astonishing and says something about the character of the people who are launching those attacks.
Well, you're terrific. We very much enjoyed you. You haven't been on this program in a while. I remember when you used to sub for me. Do you remember that? It's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is going. It's going back a bit. Yep.
All right, my friend. And tell everybody where they can find you, even though they already know, probably.
Hey, check out my podcast anywhere you get podcasts, The Ben Shapiro Show, and, of course, check out all of our work over at dailywire.com.
There you go. God bless you, my friend. Keep up the great work.
You too. Be well, Mark.
All right, be well. Good guy. Smart as hell, by the way. Maybe you didn't know that, Rich. But he definitely is. You know who our guest is next hour? Sid Rosenberg has one of the biggest shows in America, the morning host in New York on WABC. And I want to get his take on what's taking place as well. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Americans sent President Trump back to Washington with a mandate to solve the border crisis, reverse the effects of Biden's inflation, and restore American greatness. But at every turn, judges are blocking President Trump's attempts to fulfill this mandate. The Heritage Foundation has been closely assessing the situation. They've been able to identify legal problems with these judges' actions and the solutions that will end this potential crisis. To see the results for yourself, go to heritage.org/Levin. That's heritage.org/Levin. There you'll get exclusive access to the Heritage Foundation's guide to solving the problem of judges limiting President Trump's moves. Stopping these judges could be the only way to protect Americans and take back our country. So go to heritage.org/Levin, heritage.org/Levin. Get your copy today. That's heritage.org/Levin, paid for by the Heritage Foundation. I want to say also to our friends in the Middle East, American soldiers, hundreds of thousands of American citizens in the state of Israel, by the way. I think I saw 700,000. And the Israelis, the vast majority of Americans have your back. We're praying for you. We know what you're up against. We see them. It's not a surprise. And we pray that you shall overcome, and I believe strongly that you will. And so I just want these folks to know it. I know they listen to the program on the internet and on the podcast and so forth, and we're with you 100%. So if Israel didn't act, which is kind of ridiculous, Iran would have a nuclear weapon, and rather than 3,000 ballistic missiles in a period of months, they'd have 6, 8, 10,000. And you see the havoc that it rains down on Israel. The Iranian air defense system would be rebuilt or certainly greatly improved. For all we know, their terrorist proxies would be stronger than they are today. And so it would be an absolute abdication of responsibility for the government over there not to hit them now. Now, I want you to think of our country and think about a Central American country. And that Central American country has funded terrorism against the United States and Mexico and Canada. They've killed thousands of our citizens in the most gruesome way. They've taken Americans hostage. They've raped them. They've murdered them. They've starved them to death. They continue to hold them. And that regime not only backs proxies like this, but it keeps threatening to destroy us. Just think of it as a country in Central America. Would we put up for that for 1 minute, Rich? Not for a damn minute. Not for a second. We are truly blessed to have Donald Trump as our commander-in-chief and president. And Israel is truly blessed to have Benjamin Netanyahu as their commander-in-chief and prime minister. I've said this so many times I can't count. These two men stand between us and tyranny. They're under attack constantly domestically. Now the president's under attack by Chatsworth, Carlson, and others. But we will stand with the president. We will have his back. We will have his back. We know what real MAGA is. We know what national security means. We know all about nuclear weapons without Tulsi Gabbard giving us a perverse history lesson. We're Americans. We're smart. We're tough. We're beneficent. We know BS from truth. We know that some guy that's all tied up with Putin and Qatar and is a special pleader for Iran That's not us. He doesn't represent us. He represents them. And we know the mealy mouths who say they support Israel, but they just don't support Israel defending itself. How preposterous and absurd that is, too. There's 1,000 excuses out there, but the American people want this taken care of, and you're right. And notice how they are targeting, as I said, the Israeli cities. The Israelis aren't targeting the Iranian civilians. But the Iranians kill their own civilians, and they want to kill the Israelis, too. Nice guys, aren't they? No, I don't think so. In fact, they're disgusting. That is the regime. I just think we're very lucky to have the president we do, and Israel's lucky to have the prime minister that they do. Very, very important, America. And we should stand by them. We should stick with them. Because they know better than these fringe types. They know better where to stand and so forth. Now, next hour, we're going to start the program off with Sid Rosenberg, who's a great patriot, great broadcaster, just a terrific guy. And he's going to give his opinion on this as well. In the next, we're going to have a number of guests. And the next guest after Sid will be, at least scheduled, if he's not pulled away, as the ambassador to the United States from Israel, Michael Leiter. Be interesting to hear what he has to say, too. Now, we won't be on Saturday on Life, Liberty, and Levin, but something really fascinating will be taking place, and that is the birthday of the United States Army, which I think is the same date or similar to the birth date of our president. And he's going to have quite a show there, quite a parade, showing off our national security apparatus, our military. And I'm thinking to myself, why do the Democrats keep attacking this? They keep saying it looks like North Korea or something. I say this. They will defend parades where you have every kind of pervert, Mr. Producer. You understand what I'm saying? People marching down the road with little kids watching. They have their genitalia hanging out. They've dressed up as something and free speech defense. But if you have a patriotic parade honoring the United States military and the 250th birthday of the Army, somehow you're a dictator. No, I don't think so. We'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. We'll get right to it. Get to our buddy Sid Rosenberg, a really great host on WABC in the morning. Sid Rosenberg, what do you make of what's happening today? Israel attacked Iran, and now Iran's attacking Israel's population centers.
Yeah, I don't like that word attack. First of all, I love you, Mark Levin, and it's always a huge honor to be on your show.
Come on my show and you change my vocabulary. Do I go on your show and change your vocabulary? All right, go ahead.
Well, no, I don't like it in the case of Israel. Iran, they certainly attacked Israel. They came after civilians and bombed us in Tel Aviv.
Well, why can't I say they attacked Iran's nuclear sites? I want them to attack them. So do you.
Yes, they did attack Iran's nuclear sites.
I want them to blow them to Kingdom Come.
Me too. But the media just says Israel attacks Iran. Well, they didn't attack Iran. They tactically fired at their missile facilities, at their nuclear facilities. When you hear attack, you start thinking...
All right, so what do you make of this?
Well, I think this is great. I do. Now, you remember, Monday will be 2 months to the day, Mark Levin, that President Trump was on my morning show on the station you're on right now, WABC, and I said to him, Mr. President, Iran needs to feel a little pain, just a little. And he said, well, we'll take it under suggestion. We'll see. And now 2 months later it happens. Now, of course, Trump didn't do it. America didn't do it. Bibi did it. But Bibi would never have done it without the green light from Trump. They hit their 60-day mark. They did not comply, Iran. And basically Trump said to Bibi, go do your thing. And Bibi did a magnificent job. Now, look, it's not going to be all wins for Israel. Somebody died in Tel Aviv today. That lady just passed away. She died. And now the bigger question mark is not how did we do last night? We did great. Not even the Iranian response today with their 100 missiles. But now what does Israel do? What do we do? Because one thing Bibi always says, you kill a civilian, and now it's a completely different game. And they have killed a civilian. A lady has died in Tel Aviv today. So for me, what becomes interesting is...
Well, I'll tell you what he's doing. I just saw this. He's hitting their oil infrastructure now. He told them, you hit our population centers, we're going to hit your infrastructure. So apparently they're hitting their oil infrastructure. I mean, let me ask you this. There's a limited number of ballistic missiles they have. They're doing some great, unfortunately, some damage here. And there's a limited number of what I call killer missiles from the Iron Dome and so forth. But after they run out of their ballistic missiles, they don't have anything, Iran. They really don't have much left, do they? And
they got nothing.
I think Israel should take Khomeini out. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
They don't really even have a Navy. They don't really have a Navy. They don't really have an Army.
They should take Khomeini out.
Oh, Khomeini, yes. They should take him out. Now, look, they've hit the oil fields now. You know what else they should do? Take out their electricity. And I'll tell you why, Mark. The people in Iran are good people. They want to be westernized like us. They've had riots in the streets where the people, they would love nothing more than to topple the regime. You take out their electricity, and now that everyday guy in Iran is going to be furious, even more angry than what he is now. So they're getting the nuclear facilities. They're taking out the oil fields. I would take out the electricity too. But to your point, yes, once they're out of missiles, you take out the Khomeini, they got nothing left. And I would imagine this next round of missiles, folks may not know this, but there's another round on its way. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning in Israel. It's Shabbos. All of our friends are inside their bomb shelters. Maybe you'll get 24, 36, 48 missiles. That's going to be 150 in a day. They do not have an unlimited amount of missiles. So to your point, yes, the more they do this, the weaker they get, and the easier it is to completely topple the whole country.
What do you make of the fifth columnist isolationists who are now turning on Donald Trump, claiming they're MAGA, he's not, these extremists? And they're either outright attacking Israel or, supporting a special pleaders Iran, or they're giving the mealy mouth like, of course I support Israel, but, I'm not sure about America giving them information and all that. What do you make of that?
I hate those people. And there's one person, now that you bring it up, Mark Levin, that I really hate, and I can't believe I'm saying this, because I got to be honest, Mark. I got to be honest. I used to love this guy. I would make sure I watched his dialogue, his open every single night, because I loved him. And now he's one of the people I loathe the most in this country, not only because he picks fights with you, and I love you like a brother, but because he's that guy that you're talking about, and that's Tucker Carlson. Now you got Candace Owens, you got Dave Smith, you got a bunch of people, but I had a private conversation with another buddy of ours, and I said, I'm a little tired of Tucker, who's not pro-Israel, who's about as anti-Semitic as anybody in this country, taking shots at you and Levin. And this person said to me, and I, quote,
I don't mind it.
You know what? Yeah, he said, I don't really pay attention to people who respect Vladimir Putin and call Winston Churchill evil in World War II. And that's Tucker Carlson right there in a nutshell. I got to ask you, Mark Levin, what happened to that guy?
I figure it's a head injury. I probably walked into a wall or something like that. Look, he's poison. I don't know what happened to him. I'm going every damn round with this guy. In fact, I'm mocking him left and right. He's such a joke. But I'm doing it because I want people to know out there, particularly my audience, said what a fraud and a phony this guy is. And now he's turned on Donald Trump. He claims to be MAGA, as do some of his entrails. And he's not MAGA. Making America Great Again comes from Reagan. It's embraced by Trump. Peace through strength comes from Reagan. It's embraced by Trump. They sound like Marxists, that the world begins today. Everything that came before was bad and old and forever wars and warmongers and neocons. They're moronic. So I ask you, Sid, what I asked Ben Shapiro in the first hour. Will they lay out their plan for the national defense of America? Other than yammering all the time, you know, there's evil countries, there's terrorists out there and so on. They don't have one, do they, Sid?
They don't have a plan. No, their plan is to basically attack people who do have a plan, whether it's defending America or defending Israel, people like you, people like Sean Hannity, the great people in this country. That's their plan. But I got to tell you this, Mark, okay? And I was a bit critical of Trump, and I love him, I adore him, months ago, because I wanted him to take part in this Iran attack. And to be honest, I don't know what President Trump is waiting for. He needs to designate the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE, both of them, as terrorist groups. So I want Trump to do more. And in this case, it's great, Mark, that you beat up Tucker Carlson every night. It's like Ray Boom Boom Mancini against Duke Cooper. It's not even fair, okay? And I love that Hannity beats him up. But I want to hear from Trump. I want to hear President Trump come out and say that, you know what? I used to like Tucker, great guy. He was great to me. But this guy no longer represents the values, the ideals that I do, that my constituents does, that my best friends in media do. So congratulations to you. You're doing a great job. How about President
Sid, here's the thing. He's got enough on his plate. He doesn't have to reach down to this guy. We can handle it. Seriously, he's got enough going on. It really doesn't bother me in the least. I think the guy is imploding in front of us. He's unraveling in front of us. He's exposing himself bare, and it's not a pretty sight. Let me ask you this, Sid. Excuse me. Benjamin Netanyahu, remarkable leader, isn't he?
Listen, people compare him to Winston Churchill. You know history, Mark, as well as anybody. Every one of your books is a masterpiece. He is a remarkable leader. And, you know, I've had the opportunity to get to know him a little, not as well as you do, but I've dined with him a couple of times, the last couple of trips to Israel. We've talked. I can't imagine a better person at this time in this situation. I tell everybody all the time, I know you feel the same way, how lucky are we in the United States of America, our relatives right now that are bunkered down in Israel, in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, to have a 1-2 punch, Mark Levin, of President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. I don't know. I'm not a historian per se. I did sports talk radio for 20 years. I can tell you the whole Brooklyn Dodger lineup in 1955. But what I do know about politics, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a better 1-2 punch in the history of these two countries than Trump and Bibi. And look, Bibi wanted to do this. He waited his time. He showed respect to President Trump. He showed respect to the United States. And anybody out there, anybody who doesn't believe that President Trump is behind Bibi and Israel 1,000%, is somewhere between naive and stupid and closer to the latter.
Very well said, Sid. You can listen to Sid on WABC streaming, and it's worth it. He's really fantastic. Sid Rosenberg, my brother, we love you. You take care of yourself.
You too. And you have to follow, I know all your fans do already, but you got to follow Levin on Twitter. He's the best friend to follow in the world today. He's beating all these guys up. Mark Levin, you're a treasure. I love you. Keep up the great work. I don't know what I would do without you. Thank you so much.
You too, Sid. You're the best. I'm playing their game. I didn't go on Twitter a lot. Did I, Mr. Producer? No. You know, they got, we have 16 million followers. Well, good for you. I don't even know what that means. I can get 16 million, but I'm on there pounding the hell out of these guys, mocking them for what they are. And they're too stupid to know better. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Pure Talk, my wireless company, a veteran-led company, believes every man and woman who has faithfully served this country deserves to proudly fly an American flag that was made in America. And listen to this. That's why Pure Talk is on a mission to give an allegiance flag, the highest quality American flag ever, to 1,000 U.S. veterans in time for the patriotic holidays. Switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk today. Know that you're supporting a company that will be providing these high-quality flags made in America to deserving veterans. With plans from just $25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, you can enjoy America's most dependable 5G network while cutting your cell phone bill, in many cases, in half. The average Pure Talk family saves over $1,000 a year. Just go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to switch hassle-free in as little as 10 minutes. Again, that's puretalk.com/LEVIN. Switch to a wireless company that supports our veterans, that is patriotic, based right here in America. Switch to Pure Talk. Ambassador Michael Leiter is a very busy man for important reasons. He's the ambassador to the United States from Israel. I want to welcome you. I know you're busy. You're out there fighting the fight. How do you feel about the progress of what's being done by the Israeli government, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, thank you, Mark. Good to be with you. We're actually ahead of schedule as far as our plan is concerned. We commenced with the strike against the Iranian regime last night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We have successfully eliminated the leadership of the IRGC. This is the terrorist organization led by the supreme leader who has sown terror not only in Iran but all over the world. Death threats, death plots, I should say, against the president and against former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, but really have caused terrorism all over the world. And the majority of the leadership has been taken out, and the majority of the chiefs of staff of the Iranian regime's army has been taken out. In addition, we have opened the skies over much of Tehran by eliminating the ground-to-air missile defenses. We have today pretty much destroyed, we hope entirely, but certainly dramatically, the Natanz uranium enrichment plant, which is necessary for the creation of a nuclear weapon. And we've also taken out a conversion center, which translates fuel into fissile material for weapon-grade bombs as well. So we have a very solid beginning. We have much more to do. We have a long list, a long bank of targets that are related, all related to the nuclear weapon program of Iran. But in the meantime, Mark, we've been hit with retaliatory strikes. In Tel Aviv, we have a woman who has been killed. They fire ballistic missiles into our population centers. This is the difference. We target the individuals who are responsible for terrorism. We target. Everything we do is targeted. They target civilians, like the Hamas in Gaza. Okay? They want to kill as many people as possible. They shoot ballistic missiles into cities. It is just unconscionable that the world doesn't stand up and hold these people responsible.
It is amazing. The entire West, almost, not the United States and a few others, just sit back and watch or criticize. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, this is clearly good versus evil, and it's a country that, if they do get the nuclear weapon, and you'll prevent that, they would use it. And they'd use it against them and us, and they blackmail us and blackmail everybody else. It's really quite shocking what's happened to the West, isn't it, Mr. Ambassador?
But you know, I have to take issue with you. I don't think it's shocking. We've been there before. There was pure evil in the 1930s. There was a rabid,
but that was shocking to me.
Death cultish individual who ran around saying that he was going to, annihilate people, and the West was sent into a state of absolute numbness. Just let it happen. Even today, we have people so confused, call themselves historians, who say that Hitler was actually looking for peace. And they even get a show on some podcasters. It's amazing. So if there's confusion about Hitler, if there's confusion about the Second World War, why wouldn't there be confusion about Khamenei and the Hitler?
Look, I'm not trying to fight on this point. I'm not talking about reprobates who happen to have a podcast. I'm talking about the leaders of countries. And with the experience of the 1930s and 40s, they should know better. But they don't. And so it is, to me, very problematic. But look, it could be problematic or not, but you guys have to deal with it one way or another, right? So it doesn't really matter.
We do have to deal with it. You're absolutely right. This is, for us, an immediate existential issue. We think it's existential for the world, but this is immediately existential for us, because the moment they get it, they're going to use it. And if there's anything we did learn from the 1930s is that when somebody says they're going to kill you, believe them. So they not only have said it, they actually have a blueprint. There's actually a plan. I mean, it's hard to believe, Mark, that in this day and age there would actually be a government that would put together a plan, written, printed, disseminated, which describes how to eliminate another state. And their approach was basically twofold. Number one, to achieve a nuclear weapon. Number two, to achieve massive number of ballistic missiles that would be used in a ring of fire around Israel, so that their proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis, would attack the borders while they send ballistic missiles into the center of the country, bringing Israel to her knees. That was the ultimate design of the Iranians. And now that it's been proven, we weren't opposed to talking. You can, that's fine. The president wanted to try a negotiating strategy. We hoped that it would be successful. I mean, Steve Witkoff did everything he could to make this successful. But at the end of the day, 61 days went by after the president gave them 60 days. And the IAEA released a report yesterday which said that they're in complete violation of everything they promised to do, and they are marching towards a nuclear weapon. And more than all of that, our intel shows very clearly that within days to weeks, they could race towards a nuclear weapon. We can't take that chance. It's just that simple.
And you're not. And you guys are you're remarkable. You're an example to the world, really, on how to deal with an enemy. I mean, in this country, people talk about forever wars. Well, unfortunately, Israel's been forever, since its founding, the subject of these terrorists. And you've said enough is enough. Is that a fair statement?
It's a war for our survival since 1948 every day. And we never asked for boots on the ground. We never asked for anybody else to come and fight for us. Our sons and daughters are fighting for the future of our country. Okay? As I talk to you now, just a few hours ago, my youngest son, who lost his eldest brother, went up to the north in reserve duty to man an artillery battery, just in case Hezbollah starts firing missiles at us from the north. Okay, all of our people have been called up in reserve duty. Some of them have done 300 and 400 days of reserve duty over a year and a half. We have an incredible young generation of men and women who are so charged with like the Prime Minister called this operation. A lion arises, the rising lion. They have arisen like lions to protect and defend the Jewish people in the state of Israel. We're
going to have to go. I want you to know something, how proud we are of you, how proud we are of the Prime Minister and his entire government and staff, how proud we are of the Israeli people. Just please let them know that we stand with them shoulder to shoulder, Mr. Ambassador.
I will, Mark. Thank you so much.
And God bless you. Take care of yourself. He lost his oldest son in Gaza. We'll be right back. Pure Talk, my wireless company, a veteran-led company, believes every man and woman who has faithfully served this country deserves to proudly fly an American flag that was made in America. And listen to this. That's why Pure Talk is on a mission to give an allegiance flag, the highest quality American flag ever, to 1,000 U.S. veterans in time for the patriotic holidays. Switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk today. Know that you're supporting a company that will be providing these high-quality flags made in America to deserving veterans. With plans from just $25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, you can enjoy America's most dependable 5G network while cutting your cell phone bill, in many cases, in half. The average Pure Talk family saves over $1,000 a year. Just go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to switch hassle-free in as little as 10 minutes. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to a wireless company that supports our veterans, that is patriotic, based right here in America. Switch to Pure Talk.
The establishment's worst nightmare. Mark Levin. Call in now. 877-381-3811.
So the Wall Street Journal News Division, which is much different than the opinion section, is working on a story that includes yours truly. Another planted hit piece. Now, folks, these run off my back. I'd like to bring them to your attention, then unravel them, then throw them away. But this is the desperation. It's funny, they talk about the establishment in Washington. The damn establishment. This guy Chatsworth and these other people, they know more people in the media in Washington, D.C. than I've ever seen in my life. It's incredible. And I don't know what they think they gain from this. Mr. Perdue, what do they gain from this? I'm not going anywhere. It just makes me actually more invigorated, passionate. I mean, I don't understand it. They think they're going to silence me? The opposite is happening, and more of you are joining me. So what do they think they're doing? Going to intimidate me and silence me? That's not going to happen. And most of these things are lies, and I straighten them out. So at least you, the audience, you know the truth. I mean, we got another one here today. Did you know I advised Donald Trump in that famous meeting that America should bomb Iran? Did you know that, Mr. Producer? I never advised Donald Trump in a meeting or any other time that America should bomb Iran. My positions are wide open, folks, on radio, on TV, on Blaze. And the funny thing is, what do they think they're going to gain from that? The president knows what I did or didn't say. I've told you what I didn't say and did say. I didn't tell you about what I said at the meeting, but it's the same exact thing that I say here to you. It's not like, oh, I've got one view over here in a meeting and one view publicly. It's the same view. But they're desperate. They're furious that the Israelis have attacked the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran, attacked their nuclear sites. Sorry, Sid. Attacked their nuclear sites. And now they're attacking their infrastructure because they said, you target our population and we're going to hit your infrastructure. Notice they didn't say we're going to hit your population. That's it. Keep them coming. The story's coming. You know, I sit here for years. I talk about so many important subjects, so many issues and so forth. And so, but this is what the media have degenerated into. Gossip, having planted stories. Look at that one at Politico by that idiot Rachel Bate or whatever her name is. Or the clown over at the, what's it called? The Independent or whatever that's called. The Intelligencer. Crazy. And Mark Levin used fake intelligence reports. I didn't use any fake intelligence reports. I used intelligence reports that are cited by their colleagues in the media. And, of course, their colleagues in the media were right. I'm right. The president's right. They're wrong. And so is Carlson. Did they go back and apologize? No. Did they go back and correct? No. So we all know what we're dealing with. That's why you hate the media. I don't blame you. I really don't. Mark Levin supports Israel. Wow, did you know that, Mr. Producer? Mark Levin opposes the Islamo-Nazi regime in Iran. Did you know that, folks? Yes, it's true. It's true. But they're constantly trying to demean the president. Like, if I tell the president something, then all of a sudden the president, you know what, Mark, you're right. Go ahead. That's not how it works, and that's not who he is. So these people who claim to be MAGA supporting Trump advocate, they're liars. They're none of those things. None of them. Donald Trump is a dear friend of mine and my wife's. Dear friend. And we kind of grow closer every week and every month. And these attacks make us grow even closer. It's like, you see these guys? Crazy. But it's okay. It's okay. They're very busy there at the Wall Street Journal. They're working on a piece planted by these guys. Yeah, it's very, very important news. Here we are, watching what's going on in the middle of Israel. This is life and death, middle of the Middle East. And they're still dealing with gossip from Carlson. Now, more and more, and by the way, in this latest unhinged rant, Carlson trashes Sean Hannity and two major donors to Donald Trump who are friends of his. So he's becoming increasingly unhinged. Meanwhile, as the Israelis are in safe rooms, as they have ballistic missiles raining down on them because the enemy is attacking the population, Carlson is worried about Iran. I want you to think about that. Now, I want to remind everybody that Iran has killed many American service people, has maimed many American service people, as well as American citizens. And this jackass acts like he's defending the military. We don't want any more military personnel killed. None of us do. But he has gives aid and comfort to an enemy. An enemy. They're our enemy. They're terrorists who tried to assassinate our president, who threaten our nation. He gives aid and comfort to them, trashes the one country that's trying to defeat them, and claims that he's trying to protect the United States military. No, he's not. He's defending a country that has killed American soldiers. Israel's taken them on. Israel took on Hezbollah that had killed American soldiers, a whole barracks of Marines. And I can go on and on and on. So Tucker Carlson is an apologist. He's an appeaser. He's actually worse. He's a special pleader for all kinds of evil, genocidal maniacs. And he's not alone. He's not alone. A whole cabal of these people. And then they claim to represent all of you. All 77 million people who voted for Trump. In fact, they claim to be more MAGA than Trump is. You know, Trump is endangering himself as a part of MAGA. He is MAGA, you idiots. Well, I don't know. My little organization, you know, I talked to the people there, and they're really going to turn on him. Oh, wow. Wow. Well, then he should be more like you, an isolationist, right? No, I don't think so. Sick stuff. Sick. We try to sort it out here. We have a great show Sunday. We're not on Saturday. There's going to be a great parade in honor of the Army 250th birthday, which coincides with President Trump's birthday. That's on or about tomorrow. And, of course, the left and the media are... It reminds me of North Korea. I think even the genius Rand Paul said that. It reminds me of North Korea. Then you must not know what's going on in North Korea there, little fella. He's another one. Crackpot. Radical libertarian. He's MAGA. Anyway, but you have parades going on with men dressed as women, women dressed as men, all kinds of stuff being promoted in these parades, and, you know, everybody honors, oh, look at that, look at that, look at him. Excuse me, it's not a him. Excuse me. What are you, bigot? No, it's not a him. I'm so confused. But anyway, but the military, oh, that's dictatorship. He's the commander-in-chief. What is he? What is that he's a dictator over? You know, seriously. He wants to honor the Army. He wants to have a big party. It's 250 years old. Why should we be ashamed of this, America? It costs $45 million. It is hilarious to watch the media and the Democrats worry about money. Since they attacked Elon Musk, they attacked Doge, they attacked all the efforts to make cuts. But this $45 billion means everything. Or the $134 million to call in the National Guard and the Marines to back up our police and so forth to get control over the riots and the vandalizers and the violence in L.A. Wait a minute, 130. Where's that money coming from? They'll spend trillions. Trillions. But this is a big deal, you see. This. It's really quite obnoxious. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Pure Talk, my wireless company, a veteran-led company, believes every man and woman who has faithfully served this country deserves to proudly fly an American flag that was made in America. And listen to this. That's why Pure Talk is on a mission to give an allegiance flag, the highest quality American flag ever, to 1,000 U.S. veterans in time for the patriotic holidays. Switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk today. Know that you're supporting a company that will be providing these high-quality flags made in America to deserving veterans. With plans from just $25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data, you can enjoy America's most dependable 5G network while cutting your cell phone bill, in many cases, in half. The average Pure Talk family saves over $1,000 a year. Just go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin to switch hassle-free in as little as 10 minutes. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin. Switch to a wireless company that supports our veterans, that is patriotic, based right here in America. Switch to Pure Talk. Okay, Mr. Producer. Do people call you Mr. Producer when you go around places? They don't? They call you Rich? I mean, does your wife say, hey, Mr. Producer? No. Your uncle does? Seriously? Well, there's nothing wrong with that, you know. Mr. Producer. I know other guys use it now, but I've always called you Mr. Producer, haven't I? Over 20 years. And then Mr. Call Screener is Christian. Always call him Mr. Call Screener. But we have really two people. We've got Rich and Christian. And people say, well, who else? That's it. We have Darian, who handles affiliate relations. But in terms of the daily radio show, we have a call screener. We have Mr. Producer. Mr. Producer does a lot, though. He does the job of at least two people. Don't you think, Rich? You would say, of course I do. No, but you really do. You're really top notch. This Sunday, we're going to have two great guests. We're going to have Tom Cotton, and we're going to have Robert Greenway. And we're going to get deeply into the Middle East and deeply into these issues. I hope you'll watch. I know Sunday is Father's Day also, so you may want to set your DVR. And I want to wish all of you fathers out there a happy Father's Day. All you mothers who want to be fathers, a happy Father's Day. No, really, just all you fathers, grandfathers, husbands, a happy Father's Day. And posthumously, my father, my father-in-law, so forth. So there is that. Let's see here, Mr. Producer. You know what, Mr. Producer? You're not going to believe this. I can't find this. My articles. I can't find it. Did you send that to me again? Oh. What's happening on this computer is very weird. I'm either deleting this stuff or it's disappearing on its own. So I pull all these articles together during the day or night, whatever it is, and I can't find my list. Here we are. All right. And we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want that. Wait a minute. Do you have Netanyahu's speech? Do you have that? Yes, you have it right here. Let's do that. His message today to the Iranian people. This is actually quite important. Cut 3, go.
Tonight I wish to speak to you, the proud people of Iran. We're in the midst of one of the greatest military operations in history, Operation Rising Lion. The Islamic regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel. And as we achieve our objectives, we're also clearing the path for you to achieve your objective, which is freedom. In the past 24 hours, we've taken out top military commanders, senior nuclear scientists, the Islamic regime's most significant enrichment facility, and a large portion of its ballistic missile arsenal. More is on the way. The regime doesn't know what hit them. They don't know what will hit them. The nation of Iran and the nation of Israel have been true friends since the days of Cyrus the Great. And the time has come for you to unite around your flag and your historic legacy, by standing up for your freedom from an evil and oppressive regime. It has never been weaker. This is your opportunity to stand up and let your voices be heard. Woman, life, freedom. Zan, Zandegi, Azadi. As I said yesterday and many times before, Israel's fight is not with you. It's not with you, the brave people of Iran, whom we respect and admire. Our fight is with our common enemy, a murderous regime that both oppresses you and impoverishes you. Brave people of Iran, your light will defeat the darkness. I'm with you. The people of Israel are with you.
There have been two major efforts by the people of Iran to overthrow this Islamo-Nazi police state regime. They've never had the support of the United States. It was under Obama and then under Biden. Regime change. But the people wanted regime change. You know, we're not trying to impose a democracy. But there's nothing wrong trying to help people who want to be free. You might want to ask the French, who helped us defeat the British, so we would win the Revolutionary War. But, you know, it's too much history for the knuckleheads, so I don't know that I should bother them with this. We'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. This was sent to me by wifey. Somebody posted this, and I like it very much. Elon Musk. Elon Musk can put the final nail in the coffin of the Iranian regime by providing Starlink internet to the Iranian people. Iran cut off all internet so that the people cannot organize a coup and communicate. So we're posting that now, right, Mr. Producer? And I just want to encourage Elon Musk, anybody who knows him, yes, he should, in fact, provide Starlink internet to the Iranian people. And that would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. We always knew Tim Walz was a Red, and he proves it all the time. He's with the Center for American Progress, where Reds like to gather, or as they call themselves, CAP. Anyway, I prefer them as crap. But nonetheless, so he's there, and he wants you to know that China is the world's moral authority. China. Cut 11, go.
Here we are with the Middle East back on fire in a way that is now expanded. Iran has to retaliate in their mind.
How is it expanded? Iran has to retaliate. None of this had to happen in the first place. Where have you been, man? Go ahead.
Now, who is the voice in the world that can negotiate some type of agreement in this? Who holds the moral authority? Who holds the ability to do that? Because we are not seen as a neutral actor. And we maybe never were. I don't want to tell anybody that. I think there's a lot of people who say you always leaned one way in this. But I think there was at least an attempt to be somewhat of the arbitrator in this. We saw President Carter do it with Begin and Sadat. We've had certain wins along the way that were actually mutually beneficial both ways. Now I ask who that is. And I mean,
all right, thanks for nothing. You're a rambling buffoon. This guy ever run his state? I'm sure they're glad when he leaves his state, that is the people. But it's really quite remarkable, isn't it? Then we have Christiana Amanpour, who's disgusting in every respect. Every respect. But Carlson will like her because she hates Israel. Hates Israel. Cut 7, go.
The next question is, and if it matters, whether in fact Iran's nuclear program can in fact be destroyed, and whether Israel, or with the United States, can get to the very deeply and highly penetrated and hardened facilities underground, especially at Fordo. And what does Donald Trump think about all of this? Remember, he pulled out of the only arms control agreement that had been struck when he was in
Excuse
office
me, dim-witted. That arms control agreement that had been struck would have ensured that Iran would have a nuclear missile pretty much right now, with the imprimatur of the world. But she doesn't communicate that to her 3 audience members. Donald Trump ripped it up for the same reason he has said over and over again: no nuclear weapon. And the Obama deal ensured that they would get a nuclear weapon with the blessing of the United Nations, the United States, Europe, of course, China and Russia and all the rest. And he said no. That's why when you look at reprobates who go, Donald Trump's turning his back on MAGA, these are stupid people who don't even understand the history of Donald Trump. And it's a rather recent history. Go ahead.
Iran to continue enriching at pace and to higher degrees. Iran has always said it does not want a nuclear weapon. And
okay. That's good to know. It's good to know. It's good to know. Go ahead.
IAEA has not said that it has found any evidence that it is on the way to a nuclear weapon.
All right, let me help her out. There's a nuclear site tonight that's been hit, their biggest one, which is now leaking radiation, nuclear radiation, tonight, that the Israelis hit, because the Iranians said we can't really access it until it stops leaking nuclear radiation. Is that good enough evidence for this buffoon? I mean, she sounds like Tucker Carlson, like Chatsworth Carlson. She's a denier. There she is. And a clown. Okay, let's keep going. Mark Kelly. This, obviously, at some point, the astronaut corps must have very much lowered its standards for this low IQ buffoon to have been an astronaut. Cut 8, go.
Well, Jonathan, I think we need to just consider for a second how we got here. I mean, that's what I was thinking about last night. I mean, you've got to back up all the way to the Obama administration, where they put in the nuclear deal, the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And that reduced the enrichment of uranium and the type of centrifuges that Iran
Excuse me, another dim-witted. They pulled the same trick they were trying to pull on Donald Trump, and it didn't work. To have the enrichment at 3.67%. The problem is, America, they got it to over 60%. And when you go to over 60%, to get it to 90% literally takes 2 weeks. 90% is nuclear weapons grade. And so they're playing everybody on this, and Donald Trump said, no, I know what you're doing. You did it to dim-witted Obama. You're not going to do it to us. No enrichment. No nuclear weapons. And so here we have Mr. Astronaut, not exactly a rocket scientist. Here we have Mr. Astronaut Mark Kelly saying that they had reduced the enrichment to below 4%. And then Donald Trump comes along as president in 2018, and what does he do? He terminates this fantastic agreement. Go ahead, play this guy.
Make just fuel-grade uranium below 4% enrichment. And then in 2018, when Donald Trump was president in the first Trump term, he terminated that agreement. At that point, Iran
How come you don't tell them why? How come you don't tell them why? And how come the morning schmo, whoever was interviewing him, doesn't press him and say, well, why would Donald Trump do such a thing? Because it enshrined their ability to have a nuclear weapon in 10 years. That's why. And he said, we're not going to do that. So he withdrew from it. It ensured that Iran would have nuclear weapons with the blessing of the world. He said, we're not going to do that. That's what happened. Now, maybe our MAGA, fake MAGA friends, not real MAGA, we're real MAGA, maybe our fake MAGA friends support the Obama deal, too. I think they do. I think they do. In fact, they support Bernie Sanders' foreign policy. When it comes to the Middle East, they're Talib. So they are. That's what they are. It's true. Now here's Tim Kaine, who's concerned about a forever war. Cut 9, go.
My sole focus now is I'm going to do everything I can to keep the United States from getting involved in another war in the Middle East, especially a prolonged forever war.
There you go. It's a prolonged forever war. Now, can't be a prolonged forever war because the enemy, and they are the enemy, the Iranians are the enemy, the regime. They're going to run out of ballistic missiles at some point, and the Israelis are going to defeat them. So it's not a forever war. But Tim's going to make sure we're never involved in a forever war. See how they all talk the same way? This guy talks like the fake MAGA crowd. The fake MAGA crowd. The isolationists. Who are trying to force their views on President Trump by leaking constantly against him. Now, there's somebody in the White House who is undermining the president and his administration. And this person has to be at a very high level. Very high level. There's somebody at the White House who's an isolationist, who's a fake MAGA, who's leaking. Who's leaking about me and Sean Hannity and others, leaking about the president, lies about the president, leaking to Axios, lies about Netanyahu and Trump not getting along, constant leaking, and bringing in embeds from the Charles Koch institutes, like the Quincy Institute, which is also the Soros Institute, lacing the administration with such people, the isolationists. The isolationists give aid and comfort to our enemies because they're not isolationists. They're building nuclear weapons. They're attacking our neighbors and our allies. Ooh, no more forever wars. No more forever wars. So every war now is a forever war. Every battle is a forever war, right? And whatever you do, make sure you blame the brave men and women who defeated Imperial Japan for the destruction from the atomic weapons. These are the people in the White House and elsewhere. Now, in the case of Gabbard, I've never been a fan of hers. She's still obviously a left-wing Democrat. I guess she doesn't realize Pearl Harbor's in Hawaii, that they attacked us first, and they would not have an unconditional surrender. The emperor was treated as a god. That's why you had kamikazes and others who would do anything, willing to put their lives on the line in ways that were really quite shocking. That's what we're dealing with. But there's a leaker or leakers over there at the White House who are smearing the president, who are undermining the president, who are making it difficult for the president to have meetings that he wants to have, and so forth and so on. A little coup going on over there at the highest levels. We'll continue working on this. And here's the funny part. The more they leak and plant stuff to the media, the more they give stuff to Chatsworth Osborne Jr., Carlson, the more their fingerprints and DNA are all over it. All over it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Hey, let's take a couple of calls here. People have been waiting for quite a while. What's that? Okay. All right, let's go to Mike in Bangor, Maine. The great WVOM. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Mark. Hey, I got a question for you. I'm a good conservative. I love your show, but there was a moment there where you disparaged Tucker Carlson. Can you
Wait a minute, I did?
Why?
I certainly didn't mean to do that.
Well, I love Tucker, and there was a moment there I thought you disparaged him.
I disparaged Tucker? I would never do such a thing.
It sounded like it. I apologize.
No, you don't have to. No way. Chatsworth Osborne Jr. Rush used to call him that.
I love Tucker, and I love your show. I really do.
Hold on, Carlson. Did you like his interview with the head monarch in Qatar? Was that pretty good?
Yes, it was, sir. And,
how about his interview with Putin? Was that? Hold on, now I'm asking questions. Was that pretty good too?
Well, everything you say.
Get off my phone, you idiot! You fake and you fraud! You don't like my show. Come on, if you're going to defend the guy, don't say, I like you too. No, you don't. You can't like us both. It's not possible. It's incongruent, as they like to say. It's implausible. It's impossible. Now, this little bastard, this Carlson, he comes attacking me. I defend myself. He attacks again. I really don't like you. I think you disparaged him. Of course I disparaged him. He's a moron. Now, people who listen to this show, they know who I am. They know my personality. They know my beliefs. So, listen, I like you a lot, but did you like the interview with Qatar? Yes. Did you like the interview with Putin? I think so, yeah. Putin even thought it was a stupid interview. I thought we'd let one of those calls in. But maybe that was a mistake. I don't know. But I don't say, Mark, I used to like you. I really did, but now that you call these people isolationists, and folks, this is what I've done for 20-some years. I defend the Constitution. I defend our country. I defend our principles and values. Whether they're under attack by the left or some of these kooks, I will continue to defend them, period. I'm not going to change my principles or yours. I'm not going to. If a guy gave a speech about how our foreign policy is all wrong, going all the way back to the founders, and I thought, geez, that's like Karl Marx. The Marxists say all history is wrong, everything that came before is wrong, but we're right now. And I thought, and this guy's got about 2 weeks' experience in any particular job. Then Carlson, he's gone from a neocon to a libertarian. Now he sounds like a head injury patient, and we're all supposed to just waddle behind him as he threatens people, as he brings anti-Semites on, as he brings comics on who don't do what they're good at, comedy, but are now teaching us history. It's a clown show. And now he's attacking Donald Trump because Donald Trump is his own man. He's the president. He makes his own decisions. He's been whispering and trying to persuade him and trying to get people appointed. And he just figured that he owned Donald Trump. He doesn't own Donald Trump. Nobody owns Donald Trump. He's treating him with outrageous disrespect. So you can't possibly like a grifter like him and me at the same time. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. When people say, Mark, you stand for the old way. Well, what's the old way? I'm supposed to ignore Aristotle and Cicero and Montesquieu and Locke? I'm supposed to ignore Milton Friedman and von Mises and Hayek? I'm supposed to ignore Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, all these old-timers? In other words, forget about history, Mark. Forget about experience and knowledge. Just listen. Listen to these modern prophets. They're so brilliant. They say things that have never been said before. You really should listen to them, Mark. Like isolationism. That's the new republicanism. Oh, excuse me, I didn't know that. Oh, yeah. And like the evil guys are the good guys, and the good guys are the evil guys. And you're so wrong about Putin. And you're so wrong about Qatar. And you're so wrong about Iran. What's happened to you, Mark? What is with your old views? Yeah, liberty is a very old view. Constitution's an old document. So you see what I mean? They sound like Marxists and Islamists. So no, I'm not going along with it. And neither should you. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the voice the liberals want to silence. But you can talk to Mark at 877-381-3811.
As I understand it, let me tell you what's going on right now. Netanyahu warned Iran, do not continue to go after our population centers. Iran has continued to do so. The reports coming out now that their main airport in Tehran is being hit. The reports coming out that their oil port or oil fields are being hit. So to be perfectly honest with you, if this goes on for another week or two, Iran is going to be dismantled. That's what's going to happen. Now, they're having to take some incoming, there's no question. There's going to be some casualties, no question. Some property destruction, no question. And I'm not downplaying that in the least, nor would I. But it appears to me that Israel's decided to maybe destroy the regime. There's constant talk on TV and everywhere. Well, what if America gets it? Look, they're not. American troops are not going to be involved. This isn't even an infantry battle. I mean, where would the American troops go? Israel and Iran are 1,100 miles apart. You don't see Iranian troops, do you? You don't see Israeli IDF troops there, do you? So let's stop with that BS that's coming from the biggest BSers in the country. This is a battle that's being fought in the air. Iran's missiles and Israel's jet fighters. And unless I'm missing something, and as I say, I'm listening to what others are saying who are in the know, it looks like Israel's going to start picking that country apart. If they keep targeting Tel Aviv and perhaps Jerusalem and some of these other cities, they're not going to put up with it. And you see, this is one of the reasons some of the haters hate Israel. Why? Because they're winners. I mean, the brilliance of these campaigns, the expertise of their military personnel, you can have the best equipment on the face of the earth, and you can lose if you don't have the right leadership. We lost in in Afghanistan because of our leadership and the embarrassing surrender at the end by Biden. So you can have the greatest equipment on the face of the earth, and we do. But if it's not handled the right way, and as the president said, the Israelis know how to use the equipment. And they have a great leader and great leadership. They have that too. And so what the Israelis are doing, and the more damage they're doing to Iran, because Iran's shooting at their population centers, the more you're going to find the isolationist cabal, acting out, posting stuff, planting stories, undermining the president of the United States. They're invested in Iran ideologically. I know this sounds strange, but it's true. They are invested in Iran ideologically. Just as they're invested in Putin ideologically. They are. And so when you have red-blooded patriots speaking up, and you're going to be attacked, which is no big deal. What are they going to do? Hit you with a wet sponge? I don't know. Well, we have the, I think that's Broward County Sheriff, Wayne Ivey, at a press conference yesterday. Now, this is the difference between a serious lawman and some of the wet noodles that you see in some of the big cities. So he's in Broward County, I think it is, Florida. Cut 15, go.
If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail.
Love it.
Most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead.
I hate to do this. I got to hear this again, Mr. Producer. This guy's my kind of guy. Isn't he great? It is Brevard, Brevard. Sorry, folks. Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey. I love this guy. One more time. Go ahead.
If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tired, because we are going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead.
That's perfect. Perfect. We have a great sheriff in Loudoun County, great sheriff in Martin County, Virginia as well. Just terrific. All right, let's see here. That is strange. Let's go to Ken Waterbury, Connecticut, XM Satellite. How are you?
Sir, it's a blessing being able to have an opportunity to speak with you. How are you, sir?
Thank you. I'm great. Thank you, brother.
Mark, I just really quick on my back history. I'm a retired law enforcement officer, and when I retired, I took a few months off to enjoy my Green Bay Packers with the football, because it's been forever since I was able to watch a season. But then I had to go back to work because got two kids in college. So I found this job working executive protection. And my wife's like, "Do you really got to carry a gun again?" I'm like, "It's all I know." But anyways, long story short, when I sat for the interview, they're like, "Listen, we have contracts we think you're going to be great for. You're going to be pretty much you're an armed bodyguard for rabbis in the Jewish community." And this was 5 years ago, Mark. Mm-hmm. This was not after October 7th. So I was like stunned. I'm like, rabbis? Mm-hmm. Like, what the hell? We're not in the 30s and 40s anymore. What the hell are you talking about? And like, oh, no, they have death threats on them big time. And, of course, after October 7th, it exploded even more. But I was shocked at that point, because you didn't hear about any of this in the media or anything like that. So I'm Greek Orthodox, and I fell in love with the Jewish community. And they're just such an open-armed people that just want to peace and pray and honestly be their own community, you know? Mm-hmm. And I've had quite a few, I can't get into detail, but instances where I had to protect my rabbi. And I had to use force to push people away. I'm like, and you know what I love, Mark, is that one of the rabbis, I don't want to say his name, he's 80 years old, Mark. And when I my first day with him, we went into his office, you know, to get to know each other, obviously, because I'm his bodyguard. Right. And he said, "Ken, let me just show you something really quick." He opened up his sports jacket. He had two side pistols. And then he lifted up his leg on the side cushion, because he had a couch on his office, and he had the ankle pistol on his ankle. And I started laughing like, "Rabbi, why do you need me?"
Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, my rabbi has a side pistol. It is so disgusting what's going on in this country. It is so disgusting. And my wife's going to really kill me. I've been warned that I need to keep an eye out myself. because of what I say and who I am. That's pretty sad, too, and what other people say about me as well. But we do what we do. We hope for the best. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Sneaking another caller, too. Let's go to Mark, Newport, Oregon. XM Satellite. How are you?
Hi, Mark. It's good to talk to you again. What a time to be alive. I met you at the Reagan Library October 23rd. I was a guy that escorted Edwin Meese around, and I was a whistleblower at the FAA.
I remember you.
17-year-old Jew that... Yeah, I went into the Marine Corps after Anwar Sadat was assassinated, wondering why did you kill someone for making peace? There's, 16 million Jews in the entire world, if you want to talk minorities. But then I went into the Marine Corps, and Iran had taken our hostages, of course. Reagan got them out. I was a Reagan Marine. And then they blew up our embassy in Lebanon, 1983, October 23rd. And, Mark, I've been living with this my whole life, and I remember an uprising, if I remember right, in Iran countless times, but it was really big during Obama. And Obama...
And for 10 days, he did nothing. He didn't even say anything. That's what happened.
You know, Mark, I'm like you. I was a Ted Cruz fan. I didn't want him to run for politics. I wanted him on the Supreme Court. I was not a Donald Trump fan because I never knew anything about him. And right now, as a 100% America First Jew, and understanding world security and history, Iran needs to be decapitated, and this is their people's chance.
I'm going to have to go, just because we're up against it. Everybody wasn't immediately a Donald Trump fan. A lot of people ran against him. But after the primaries were over, I became a Donald Trump fan, supported him 100%. Still do, unlike the fake MAGA who are now stabbing him in the back. Every Friday, in your honor, we play this. be very impressed with what the Netanyahu government and the Israeli military, their brave men and women, are doing. They really are quite spectacular. Pray for them, support them, let's unite behind them, because they're fighting for us too. They're fighting for the entire free world against these very evil terrorists who want to take us out too. It's good versus evil. It's that simple. All the rest of the static aside. I'll be on Hannity in just a few minutes. Don't forget Life, Liberty, and Levin on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can always DVR us, and if you have a chance to run over to Amazon.com and pre-order a copy of my book and give it to your father, your grandfather, your husband, give them a little note, tell them they're going to get it. It's going to be a great gift. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel. You, the American people, what would the world do without us? We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel. I think I said that, but I mean it. Good night to all our doggies. Good night to all our parents and relatives who've passed. And I'll see you tomorrow, and God bless each of you.